Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinity Saga. This is your one and only spoiler warning for any of the movies in the saga. If you have a strong desire to see any of the movies before hearing about them from two regular Dans, turn this off now and go watch those amazing pieces of cinema. Then come back here and listen to our take, because we have a lot of interesting takes. We always discuss the current movie, but the stories here are so interwoven it's almost impossible not to talk about the future movies in the franchise. So, again, this is your one and only spoiler warning for any of the movies in the Infinity Saga of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is also your one and only adults-only content warning. Our aim is never to offend or alienate, and everything we say should be taken with a grain of salt. Please refrain from taking offense to our comedy. We're just here to discuss the current movie and have fun. Enjoy!
Good. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how's it going, Dan?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic.
That's great. This is discussing, Dan's entertainment and you, how pop culture shapes your world. Our mission statement is to keep a vague and open dialogue about how science fiction almost stumbled through that, has affected pop culture as viewed through the eyes of two Dans in their 30s for a few more days. No topic is too off topic. No opinion is wrong, right?
That's right.
That is right.
Incorrect.
That's incorrect. Today is the third installment of our little Marvel saga.
Iron Man 2.
Yes. Came out 2 years after the first Iron Man and then Incredible Hulk in 2008. This one came out in 2010, directed by Jon Favreau.
Did a great job with the first one.
He did, so they brought him back for the second one. And it leads literally right into the second movie from the ending scenes of the first movie.
Right, you see Tony Stark on his TV saying, I am Iron Man.
They zoom in on some weird guy standing in the corner up against the door.
Which we later learned, obviously, is Papa Vanko. And we learned that he had sent designs of the arc reactor to Howard Stark or something, and they were in somewhat cahoots in the creation of the original arc reactor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were. I think both their names are on the plans.
Right.
When Ivan looks at him.
Because Ivan later calls him he's a family of thieves.
Yeah. Family of thieves. Yeah. Ivan is What's his name? What's the actor? Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, right.
Doing what I thought was a not-so-good Russian accent, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not perfect.
His speaking lines were all good because they were short and to the point.
I think he's a great villain, but, his persona is confusing in so many ways. It shows that, it tells it, later on that he spent 20, 30 years or something like that in prison.
Yeah.
After...
selling nuclear secrets.
For selling plutonium.
Yeah.
For selling, yeah. Which, I think that his, Vanko's dad's parallel is supposed to be the Russian Howard Stark. He probably didn't have as much success as Howard Stark did. It's maybe a harder country. Maybe the, I don't know, Avenger stuff made them in a rougher way. But the son, Ivan Vanko, our main villain here, spent 30 years in prison, and he didn't lose any of his intelligence. Whatever intelligence led him to be, he was the son of his Papa Vanko, but he was also, then his next move was selling plutonium. We'll assume that he was on his way to be the parallel of Tony Stark, and he was really smart until he decided to sell plutonium.
Probably needed to make some money to fund some engineering projects that he was working on. But for the bad side of things. Yeah,
so he comes out of prison, I guess, and he gets his pimp outfit, his attire, unless he's when is just crazy until he gets in prison. Then it's not his choice, and it's kind of more normal. But while he's undercover and coming up with his plan and getting the tickets to the Morocco race or wherever,
that's how you dress in Russia. It's cold. You gotta dress like a pimp.
Crazy.
Layers and fur and
black and white hair patches, highlights of gray hairs.
Yeah, the highlighted gray hair was strange. What's that?
Did he get his metal teeth prosthesis while he was in prison? Did they give you grills in prison?
In Russian prison, it's not tear tattoos. It's silver teeth.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of some questions I have.
That's the thing that goes on in the gulag. That's what you gotta know, man.
The multitude of tattoos. Okay, prison. That makes sense. The very his hands are just like gargoyle like. His thumbnail is like a.
Well, let's just make you roar.
Yeah, well, right. But I mean,
perfect for the role. Yeah, they're tattooed and grimy. And,
yeah.
He's the. Well, I had my notes here actually. They bastardized the suit building. Him creating the suit in the first one. They do that montage with Jensen.
Right.
This is like a bastardized version of it after the
totally
little intro where he's watching him on the news. Tony Stark revealed that he's Iron Man on the news.
Yeah.
And then they immediately segue into credits, and during credits they show Ivan creating the what do you call it?
Arc reactor.
Yep.
The miniaturized arc reactor.
Miniaturized, yeah.
The you can also tell that it wasn't as good as even this dude's cave work. That's kind of thing.
Yeah, he was like dripping stuff on it. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And where Tony Stark's copper wire that had to rotate around every 2 notches on a clock of those were all neat, but Ivan's was like chaotic, like barbed wire around the thing.
Yeah, it just looked haphazard.
Right.
And
which Tony comments brilliantly later on when he is investigating Ivan after his discovery of the arc reactor he had.
After Monaco.
Monaco, not Morocco. That's right, Monaco.
Yeah. But now it's 6 months later after they show Ivan building the arc reactor, and they show a huge testament to Tony's narcissistic ego.
Yeah.
Flying in, dodging fireworks. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, a firework hits him.
Yeah. So it must have been that tank shooter's son or something. But I also see he rockets down towards this expo. I can't imagine you would ever need to be maybe to control where he's going, but I would imagine maybe that's like the flight flap suits that would give him guidance, but you wouldn't need a rocket towards the ground.
No, it's fun.
And then what kind of shock absorbency does that suit have?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's got to be, in the Halo franchise, Master Chief's protected by like a gel layer.
Yeah.
So that I can excuse, but as far as I'm concerned, his body is touching metal.
Yeah, right? It's being stopped instantly as he hits that stage.
Yeah.
I imagine that's what I'm saying. That the primary suit, the first suit is his. I don't know if it's first suit, his second suit, because it's not the cave one, but the one he makes in Iron Man
Mark
1.
2.
I give that 400 or 500 pounds worth of metal, and he's another 150, 200. I want to be generous, Tony. So that's like 700 pounds hitting the stage at what looked to be 200 miles an hour of a rocketed descent.
From 200 to 0.
Yeah, right?
In a few seconds.
I mean, fantastic stage durability.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I'm pretty sure the shockwave is going to knock some people's teeth out in the front row.
Yeah.
Not to mention the G's he pulls all the time. No training as a pilot. Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. He's a rich guy. Maybe he gets his kicks flying fighter jets, but they never show any of that. And all of a sudden, like in the first one, he's running from F-22s and going from sonic speed to full stop in a matter of seconds. But we get it's a comic book movie.
Otherwise, the Iron Man suit is fucking badass. There's nothing I don't like about it. One of the things I will say, I mentioned in Iron Man 1, is that one of the things that make Iron Man special is his super technical ability to build this arc reactor and his super technical ability to build the suits. Those are the two things that make him Iron Man. And right away in Iron Man 2, we see Ivan Vanko can also make a miniaturized arc reactor. And that's actually a big point of this film, is that here's Ivan Vanko in Russia on his own doing it. And so that's what obviously makes Rhodey take the suit, because a barrier's been crossed. He's no longer the only person who has access to the technology that makes Iron Man so unique.
Yeah.
And
he's not sovereign to any sort of... He's an independent...
Yeah.
He's a citizen of the United States, but he's, as far as they're concerned, carrying, militarized technology
Yeah.
that
Doesn't answer
no
anybody.
civilian should have, but
Right.
there's no laws against it either. So.
Yeah. High-tech prosthesis.
Prosthesis, yeah. But we're actually, he's finished his expo entrance, like we mentioned, landing on stage. We go through a first-person view of him leaving the expo with the press, and he meets Stanley cameo number 2.
Fantastic.
Or number 3, excuse me.
Right.
As Larry David.
He loved those cameos.
Yeah. And I'm glad he started getting speaking lines later in the movie.
Gets served a subpoena, but yeah, all right. So
Yes, we served a subpoena.
Justin Hammer,
Here we
man,
are. Yeah, Sam Rockwell, like, oh my god. Fucking knocked it out of the park. Even this opening, you could tell, like, this guy's a sniveling little
yeah.
bitch.
I like how he refers to Tony as Anthony, the only person in the whole movie that refers to like to give the impression that he's close to Tony and that he only him and he calls him Anthony, whatever.
Yeah, like a father figure.
Yeah. And then after he finishes his speech arguing that Tony potentially shouldn't be allowed to be the only person with this technology, he ends his speech with "God bless Iron Man, God bless the United States of America."
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, right.
And this was cool. So Rhodes is showing up, and since the actor change, they address it entirely, and they say, Tony says, "I didn't expect you to see you here," and Rhodes immediately says, "It's me. I'm here. Deal with it." And that's how the movie deals with it.
Right.
Rip.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. It's a perfect way to A, introduce the character, B, get us right past the fact that they changed actors.
Which was great. I thought it was wonderfully done. One more, I forgot to mention one thing. They showed Tony's toxicity level in his blood. So
that happens around here.
And I have a couple of thoughts about that, but we'll get to that later.
Well, why not now? What's the delay?
Well, no, I mean we don't. I guess we could fast forward a little bit.
Tell me about your blood toxicity woes, because I got complaints.
The whole there's no mention of any sort of core in the beginning, and then Ivan Vanko knows about it somehow, and after the prison interrogation scene, and then they have a lithium. I wrote it down. So he's drinking. Hold on, I got it.
Oh, the green stuff that he's drinking.
The green stuff he's
to counteract it
is chlorophyll.
Right.
He says that's a pepper in passing, and then later they inject him with something.
The Shield injects him with this.
It immediately takes away the
high-tech crossword puzzle.
Yeah, high-tech crossword puzzle on his neck. So they're kind of like all over there with the science. I understand what they're trying to do. The core is polluting his body. It's also preventing the shrapnel from getting to his heart. But
is it also? I mean,
that's what the electromagnet is doing overall.
But also, the existence of it in his chest is poisoning his body with palladium.
No, the power core is poisoning his body with palladium, not the electromagnet. The electromagnet is just down there.
Oh, and it's powered by the core.
Powered by the core.
Right.
So,
just the existence of the core is.
I guess.
Yeah. No, the science is all over the place, and my thing with the blood toxicity meter is that it's like a 4-inch by 2-inch by 1-inch box that says blood toxicity.
Yeah, it's Stark Industries on it, embossed.
Yeah. Why would he want
a single function
thing that is gonna label what it's telling him? If he knows, he just put a percentage meter. You know what I mean? He wouldn't want anybody else to determine that.
He would attach it to the actual
he's got
device,
toxicity in his blood.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, you're right.
He'd be able to look at it privately.
It's convenient for a movie device for the audience to know where he's at in this progress of poisoning. But it is
this plot device for
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It is a plot device.
Yeah. So that was just a couple of my issues with that, but so they just a couple of big actors they pulled in. They showed Gary Shandling is the
was he
senator?
What he was the
not bumbling.
I'd say conniving.
Yeah, the angry, which you find out
scheming.
later is
right. Exactly.
Even further.
He seems to be just against Iron Man in general, and as we watch it, it seems like just a resentful American politician saying, you're showing up our tanks and our billion-dollar air sea craft.
Yeah, you're rendering our justification for military spending useless.
Right. So that's what I attributed his anger and his wanting to shut down Iron Man attitude to, which we find out later, as you mentioned, that he's motivated by Hydra.
Yeah.
But Gary Shandling, man, was he great at it.
Yeah, he was perfect for it.
Too perfect. Too perfect.
R.I.P.
Yeah, right?
But they also had
I loved
X-Men movie. Sorry. Before that point, it's pointless, and then we can immediately go to yours. But Olivia Munn was one of the reporters talking about the nation's address.
Oh.
So thought I'd throw that out there.
That's interesting. I did not know that. And I bet you she fought for it. She's a really big fan of, obviously, the comics, and she's always
an X-Men.
Yeah. I think that she's always auditioning, and in X-Men, she finally got cast. I feel, from what I understand, she's like a super
nerd. Yeah, she was on G4 TV for a long time.
Right. Yeah. Which is awesome. It's awesome.
Anyway, what were you
I was going to say, in the courtroom with Justin Hammer, I loved how Tony owned it. Owned the whole courtroom from beginning to end. Yeah. His ego was in charge. Mm-hmm. First Gary Shandling addressed him, and he's not paying attention. He's talking to Pepper. And then he responds, "Oh, yes, dear," like he's confused. Oh, my God. Perfect Tony.
Yeah.
And then later when they're, slightly making the accusation that he's not responsible with his technology, that's when he does his super Stark tech move and takes over the screen. Yeah. And Justin Hammer, oh my God, struggling to turn off the TV.
Yeah, he just unplugs it at the end of it.
Right, which, he's supposed to point out
that pilot survived. After
he's supposed to be some kind of tech expert, and it took him a half a minute to turn off a TV.
Yeah, I get the feeling he's less of a tech expert and more like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of guy. Definitely seems that way with his technology.
Ivan Vanko getting the tickets while he's in
he's dressed like a Red Dead Redemption character.
Yeah, and I gotta be curious. What was he got out of prison. It must have been a while ago, and he was taking care of his dad, as we saw in the montage of the beginning. Where was he going to get fur coats and super glasses and his teeth done?
Russian Ross.
It's just I don't know where that fits in. And my brain, it's like a splinter in there.
I don't know. Maybe it was a character choice on his part.
It's not an important splinter at all. It's just Mickey Rourke.
Maybe those white highlights are natural.
And there's a story behind it. But like you were saying on Mickey Rourke's Russian accent being poor, I agree. It's probably not. It's not a perfect Russian accent. But what I do like about him is he doesn't talk much, and he does that kind of clever wise guy thing where when Tony Stark. When Tony Stark is being approached, Tony Stark is investigating him. The police people say he probably doesn't speak English, and Tony Stark goes in there talking English, assuming that he does, and they just don't know. And Mickey Rourke follows through and talks English back to him. Mm-hmm. Justin Hammer rescues this guy from prison and presents him with a fine meal in his hangar, and says, "I want to give you money and resources so you can do what you want." And Mickey Rourke does but I want my bird. You know what I mean? He talks.
First, he responds in Russian too, which is kind of.
It's just cool a power move. Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah. It's a power move of you have a barrier that you didn't think about. And
it's like respect versus.
Yeah.
He absolutely understands. Yeah, which is. Like I said, I had nothing to take away from him. I'm kind of glad he doesn't speak that much.
I think it's a tool.
Makes his broken English sound even cooler.
Right.
It's not, a great Russian accent, but maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's good. Mickey Rourke was a good casting choice for.
Surprisingly so, because
Whiplash.
Whiplash is the character. Yeah. Ivan Vanko. When I first heard of that Mickey Rourke was going to be in it, I was really concerned because I just didn't think that he was. I thought he was too old school. I just felt that he's not a person who understands comics, or would get what we're looking for. But no, he did it really well. He did it real well. I mean,
that's another testament to the MCU. Their movies are about character, not
right.
about the heroes.
Yeah, he was given a good script, I'm guessing. So, yeah.
What happened? Did he give away the company? Yeah, he gave away the company already. So
right.
he gave the company away to Pepper, and now we're in the training room
meeting
Stark's house.
Yeah.
Meeting Natalie Rushman.
right.
A.K.A. Black Widow, A.K.A. Natasha.
Never take your eyes off the...
Yeah, Happy and her spar for a moment after Tony oogles her and then Googles her.
And Tony Stark is full Robert Downey Jr. I don't know. It's like, God, he's so charming, and how his facial expressions, his childlike awe. But he's freaking Tony Stark, and he's thinking a mile a minute. You know what I mean? Like so. And when he can only say, "I want one," and then when he goes to test Natalie Rushman, and he goes step in the ring. And then she steps in the ring, not intimidated at all. And then he does such a psychological tool. What?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, unprompted. And she doesn't even bat an eye. She just calmly looks, keeping her slight smirk. Oh, man. It's played best by everybody. It's great. I love the scene.
Yeah. Jon Favreau's a really great director. This movie was, it was well done. This whole scene, actually, when they arrive in Monaco, Tony being Tony the entire time. Is this us? And Natalie Rushman, yes, it can be. Yeah. And then he meets Elon Musk, who suggests a private electric jet.
We'll make it happen.
And he, too busy for that. And then when they're discussing Justin Hammer, he's having side conversations with Pepper back and forth.
Yeah.
The part when he's looking at Hammer and he's like, "Hey, Tony!" He hears him coming.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's my least favorite person in the world, Justin
Hammer.
Hammer.
Yeah.
When he turns and says Justin Hammer, the scene just happened.
It just goes to show how they really fit in that Tony Stark is a super genius. That he's thinking minutes ahead of what's actually happening. You know what I mean?
Socially, engineering, mathematics. Yeah, it's really good. So he made Pepper CEO. They're at
Justin Hammer's being
at Monaco. Justin Hammer being
crushed by his lack of interest.
Always just falls short. He's like a I don't know. He's like a Michael Scott. If Tony Stark had Michael Scott sprinkled in.
This is Justin Hammer is a legit villain in this movie, and
you kind of feel sorry for him.
Yeah, right?
Like the kid who was bullied.
You don't have the I'm strongly hurt and brooding bad guy moment with Justin Hammer. He's just way ambitious and like you said, sneaky and conniving. What do you say? What were you you were talking about how he was in the courtroom. But
I don't remember.
But like that, he's a worm, and you don't get that specific moment of super wounded by Tony and that he vows revenge. It's merely that he's always falling short, and he's tempted by an opportunity, and it's in the racing scene where Tony sees that his blood toxicity is rising beyond what he can control.
34% or something like that.
It was higher in this scene, I believe. It was something that was pushing him towards wanting to. I think it was somewhere higher. But
he sits in the mirror and he says, "What other bad ideas you got?"
Right. That's it's like a man facing suicide. Like, I'm gonna die.
There you go. 53%.
53%. Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah, the tattoo out of his chest is getting worse. I don't know, like veins, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting
crossword.
pattern they chose.
90 degrees is a form of the digital virus.
When you get palladium poisoning, your veins
line up
in 90-degree angles.
The virus knows.
Yeah. So
it's not a virus.
He
it's
dons
palladium.
which I hear would cause probably a huge stink in the Formula One world. From what I understand, that's got like a huge following, and the people who race in it are diehard Formula One people, through and through, and they bleed the racing team that they race for.
Right.
So I imagine Tony taking over for this.
Oh yeah,
guy.
he threw his helmet down. He was upset.
He was very upset.
Which added, which added realism. I mean, if the guy was just like, oh, okay, they'd be like, we mentioned it, but the guy was pissed, which helps. He's rushing out to, he wants to, I don't know if he wants to meet his death. And which is great. It leads up to, this is all leading up to S.H.I.E.L.D. saying, how's this doing everything on your own working out for you?
Yeah.
It's a great corner for Tony Stark's story to turn, because he didn't have a reason to look to S.H.I.E.L.D. because he felt that he could control everything on his own. And obviously he's now facing a situation he can't control.
Yep. Did he know Tony was going to race, or was that disguise just merely to get him in there? Because I imagine it's probably harder to get up to the rich people's part than...
That's what he got when he was in that Russia scene with the pimp outfit. He got Morocco tickets. So
I saw that, but he was wearing like pit crew or police uniform.
Yeah, utility. Yeah, he must have got a job or something.
I suppose, yeah. And I imagine it was just to get in.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So there's your beef we were talking about earlier, I think before we started recording. The density of Iron Man's suit and the new suit. So we just see Happy shows up to pick up Pepper to go rescue Tony because Ivan Drago is now slashing the Formula One cars, and boom, he just hit Tony's right now.
And he has Iron Man's suit in the size of a briefcase.
And he holds it up with one arm.
Yeah.
Extended directly in front of him.
Assuming, that's got to mean that it's, let's say if it's 50 pounds, Happy's a really strong guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not an easy exercise.
Right. So 50 pounds of metal is what is wrapped around this guy? That's crazy.
That's all that's protecting him?
That is not an insignificant amount of metal.
No.
But it's not what I'd imagine the suit of the Mark II, which we see in this fight awesomely. We see in this fight that the whips of Whiplash tear his armor up.
Oh, yeah, majorly.
Which
is pretty cool after rewatching it, seeing the focus shots of his helmet and the arm.
Right.
Like the ridges on his arms and shit were torn the hell up.
Whereas this might have been a gripe I had with the movie, I think now that I'm thinking about it, it actually, with seeing the how much that suit was pretty much done after that combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 50-pound transportable suit.
Yeah.
It's not his 500-pound fight Thor suit.
Yeah. He's just, that's like a Friday night last minute decision suit.
Yeah. So my gripe has turned into more adoration.
Okay. Cool. That's good to hear. You don't always hear that. I did have a gripe about this, though. He timed it so perfectly as to jump.
Yeah.
So Ivan's approaching Tony, who had fallen in front of a flipped Formula car.
He gets up and he's suddenly leaping over the car 10 feet away. But okay.
Yeah.
He's on fire. Yeah,
so
it was a little...
I'll give him that.
He didn't take no hits from it.
But speaking of Ivan whipping things with his cool electric whips, in my opinion, what a waste of the arc reactor. He could have... Maybe he was limited by the materials he had in that Russian basement.
Right.
With his dead drunken dad upstairs.
Right.
I don't know. It just seems like kind of a waste of an arc reactor. Like, maybe you want to include it in something a little more...
That's a good point. And I think that...
Like a proton pack and you catch some ghosts.
Well, take this into consideration. What if he is working on his big Whiplash suit this whole time? Because at the end of the movie, he suddenly has a big Whiplash suit that we don't even know. We've never seen. It's not like made from the armor of the Hammer Tech. It's
like a samurai suit.
Right, but it also looked a little bit hodgepodge, like it was built together from scraps, it looked less than what a Tony Stark outfit would be.
Yeah, not perfectly engineered.
So maybe this is a long game plan, and that he had planned. But I will counter your slight gripe with it's a shame that he did this. He needed to make it to where he can get into this race and fit under a camouflage of job, which the orange jumpsuit, which he did, and he was happy with just showing that Tony bled, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And that
Make God bleed, people will stop believing in him.
So I think that his goal at this point was to just show that another arc reactor was out there, number one, and number two, that someone's ready to be dangerous with it.
Very valid point. And he was definitely dangerous with it. He fucks his ass up.
Yeah, if he could, I think if Whiplash...
After getting crushed by a car, I would just like to
right?
know.
I think if Whiplash could have killed him here, he would have. But he was, I think, happy with just the bleeding.
Yeah.
Just the...
You lose.
You lose.
You lose. You lose. Yeah. Pretty cool, though. He ties himself around the whips, which basically forces him to...
Yeah, which allows Tony to just punch him twice, which I like that. That's all that's necessary for Ivan Vanko to be down, is his Iron Man suit to just thrust his fist into his face.
Yeah.
Or once into his ribs, one to his face, and he's down, he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the Iron Man suit is. It's just your whole body is a big metal club.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
An armed metal club, because you could also shoot blasters out of it. It's crazy.
An exosuit. He crushes it in his palm. Crunch.
Which
Smart.
Well, I at first was like, man, I would imagine you wanted to study it, but I guess that what that HUD view was signifying was that he did a full scan on it, which
so he probably had all the information he needs. It's
pretty amazing.
Yeah. So he got hit by a car, punched by Iron Man, and now he's in a French prison, which Monaco, France, I guess.
Must be.
So he's in a French prison, and
they only let him in his underwear, his tidy whities.
Yeah, Teresa had mentioned that earlier. Like, why is he only in his underwear? I was like, that's a good point. Why is he only in his underwear? I mean, I imagine they tore those shredded clothes off of him, and he was just wearing the rig underneath the top part, which was burned. But why not leave his pants?
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned earlier, Tony approaches him as like a equal, speaking English.
Right.
Assuming he does too.
Maybe it was because they're saying, Ivan or Mickey Rourke, your character's all tattooed up all over his body, so we're gonna have to tattoo you up. And he's gonna be like, man, why don't you show it? If I'm gonna be tattooed up, you gotta express that. Otherwise, it's all over my clothing all the time. Maybe. But otherwise, I have no good explanation as to why he's in his tidy whities.
So yeah, when he leaves, as he's walking away, he says, "Hey Tony, palladium poisoning is a terrible way to go."
Yeah,
How did he know? Oh, he built the arc reactor. I answered my own fucking question just thinking about it.
Well,
so maybe he knows palladium.
I mean, at that point, then you'd have to assume that Ivan Vanko is also knowledgeable about biology.
And the fact that he's got shrapnel near his heart, and there's an electromagnet in there, which is why the whole reason he has the palladium in his chest in the first place?
No.
Oh.
He has the electromagnet in his heart, could have been powered by a car battery. The electromagnet is just to keep the shrapnel.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Tony Stark, because he's Tony Stark, just created this arc reactor of crazy amounts of power so he didn't have to carry that battery around.
Right.
So that crazy amount of power is just a crazy amount of power.
Right.
And it powers now an electromagnet that keeps shrapnel from his heart.
Yeah. So how did Mickey...
It's just the palladium that he would have to understand that the arc reactor, which is made out of palladium, he would have to know that substance has a deteriorative effect on human biology.
And he's just knowing because he's got it in his chest. He doesn't necessarily know that he's got an electromagnet keeping shrapnel from his heart.
I mean, that might be public knowledge. It could be. I don't know. But
true.
I mean, maybe it was a note in Ivan Vanko's father's notes about the reactor is that palladium can poison humans. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
it's fun to draw
conclusions. Yeah. But it is, it is a good question as to how he knew. Because if it wasn't in the notes, then I would have to assume that Ivan was a professor in biology as well, and he would be able to have derived the effects, because palladium is not a common thing.
No.
So
it's very expensive, from what I understand. So they're on the plane now heading back from Monaco, and he just said that he spent 3 hours making a shitty-looking omelet for Pepper, which was pretty funny.
I go to Google and I type, I'm wondering if he has tattoos. I go to, does Mickey Rourke, and the top suggestion from Google is speak Russian. So that's probably not based on he's not, have a brother, interesting. Die in The Wrestler, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. Have a son, good question, I don't know. Have tattoos is on there, so I'm going to check out.
Must be a common enough search.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people watching Iron Man 2 these days.
It just says that Mickey Rourke has 2 birds on his left and right shoulder. On his right arm, he has an eagle tattoo, and on his wrist, part with a cubic puzzle design and some beaded wrist tattoo on both of his arms. So I imagine that they probably just added to his tattoos.
They just drew fake tattoos.
Yeah. I'm seeing on Google now. Unfortunately, I won't say I'm a fan of seeing Mickey Rourke
Shirtless,
but yeah, he's got a lot of tattoos.
He puts a prisoner with the same prison number in his cell, and Mickey Rourke beats the shit out of him, and then uses the C4 they provided as potatoes in his meal to escape, which is pretty clever.
I kind of like the deduction here. So he blows up the cell, or he takes care of the guy. He blows up the cell, and he's walking. The next guard sees him, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" So the other guard, who had expected this guy to escape with Plastique, didn't clear the area of other oncoming guards. Weird.
Collateral damage.
But Whiplash is able to do some crazy double feint. "Oh, I twisted your neck, and your neck is broken now."
You're dead.
Move.
Yeah.
And escape with the not looking at the explosion.
Good, cool guys never look at explosions.
Yeah, even fit in a dusting the dust off of his shoulder in it. But then he gets to the hallway, and some guard. I think it's the guard that gave him the Plastique and another guy.
Yeah, probably the one that let the other guy in his cell.
Have a cloth bag ready to hood him.
Wakes up and Justin Hammer's private.
Yeah, right.
I imagine they're in France still.
They gave him a scrunchie for his hair. I don't know if that was
in the prison. Yeah, you're allowed to have scrunchies in prison now.
But Justin Hammer, again, ridiculously charming when he's not underneath the shadow of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He's in his own domain. He will take time to set it up. I want this table set with a tablecloth. I want flowers with orchids. Mm-hmm. I want a fancy meal. And you know what? I also want a dessert first. So, he really wants to...
You can tell he's more substance, more flash than substance.
Right, yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
He's much less of a genius, more of a...
opportunist.
Yep, and a showboater.
Yeah. Which is perfect for a villain.
Yeah. So he offers him his plan, and I actually didn't have any notes until till Tony's party, which is where they're heading back from.
Yeah, they come up with their plan. Is I want Tony Stark to I want to take a big shit on Tony Stark's
Stark
Expo.
Yeah.
I could do that.
It's very good, man.
No problem.
You said very good, man. Tony, almost hesitant to have the party, still has the party.
Yeah.
Pees in the suit.
Oh,
stumbles
man.
around drunk in the suit and mixes a record, does a couple of record scratches in the suit.
It was a great summary, I think, because Iron Man in the comics, he was really self-destructive. And I think that this is a great way to include it in the MCU in a small stumble.
Not too deep. Let's not talk about alcoholism, but let's show that the comics have.
Yeah. But also as a useful tool to move this plot forward, and they don't dwell too much time on it.
That's
Right.
the whole reason he did the race, because he said,
Right.
what other crazy ideas you
Right.
got? Yeah, he's headed for the end, as
Right.
it seems. And how gross was that palladium core when he pulled it out?
Ooh,
That thing was
yeah.
nasty. There's pus and shit stuck to it and scabs or something.
Yeah, it just looked like it was
Disgusting.
scabbed all over. It was neutron damage that's doing that.
Yeah. Before the party, yeah, you can go past this. Before the party, Ivan decides to change Hammer's Hammer's suits to drones.
Which had those crazy cylinders underneath the head, so
Yeah, how do you fit somebody in there regardless?
In the later scene where Ivan has his drones and Justin Hammer's seeing this and it's like, can you fit your head in there? Tells his assistant to try to put his
that
head
was really funny. And he tries.
Yeah, I love that scene, but I want to point back at whatever suits he had there. It had like some cylinders all up in his neck place. Mm-hmm. There's no room for a head in that helmet.
Nope.
So, I don't know.
A little ambitious there.
Yeah, right.
Senor Justin, your own suits can't even fit a human head. So after the party, Rhodes sees that Tony is incapable of handling the suit. He takes the suit on the military's behalf and flies it back.
Right.
Tony, on the other hand, flies to a donut shop.
Yeah, he has a big, beautiful donut sitting all like prone in the, Sir, please step out of the donut.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah, Samuel.
So Samuel
Nick
Jackson
Fury.
calling him out on everything, and Natalie Rushman shows up and reveals herself to be Scarlett Johansson.
Right. The Scarlett...
Black Widow.
Yeah, Black Widow, right. Which...
Natasha Romanoff.
Right, Natasha Romanoff. Right. When Nick Fury introduces Natalie Romanoff, I gotta say...
Natasha.
Sorry, yeah, Natasha Romanoff. I gotta see... I felt every time I watch it awkward when...
He puts his arm around her?
Yes.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yes, every time I'm like, why are you doing that? And it's a Samuel L. Jackson, like, I think, auto-response of lady sitting next to you. But
super smooth.
Right? Yeah, so that's like a possessive gesture that I feel that Black Widow would have broken a finger or at least put a pain pressure and said, hey, how about you don't do that? Knowing her character.
It's funny you wrote notes about that, because I thought about making a note.
I don't think that she'd... I mean, maybe Nick Fury, because Nick Fury is supposed to have taken her in, and this is her new family. But I just don't think she would.
It's a little too possessive of a move.
Yeah.
So it's definitely awkward. But this is the same scene. I have it written down. Lithium dioxide is what they inject him with.
Yeah, right. Which
doesn't sound healthy.
LO2.
No idea.
It counteracts the checker box on your head.
Quickly, too. Right after they inject him,
it just slithers back.
Disappear.
Right.
And he's like, what are you going to take my spleen? Or whatever
right. Yeah, it just starts withdrawing, which is, an indication for the audience, you know. But also, a showing to Tony that for some reason he had no idea of that biochemistry solution. I'm sure it wouldn't be difficult for him to be able to create lithium dioxide.
Yeah.
And if he had any chemical knowledge that would be able to lead him to that, he would have the most experience with palladium.
He would have been drinking
SHIELD shouldn't have any experience with palladium.
Yeah.
They don't have an miniaturized arc reactor.
Yeah. But hey, it progresses the plot.
It does.
It allows him to... So then they put him in lockdown. They put Tony in lockdown on his own property, and they give him pictures and files from his dad and a movie, and they... Oh, sorry, playing footsies. And they explain to him that his father hadn't finished his work yet, and it was up to Tony to do it, which is kind of crazy to say, but when you watch the rest of the movie, it kind of makes sense. He's very limited by the technology of his time. What was it, like the 60s or something?
Right.
Yeah, so Fury explains to him that that's what he needs to do, and that's what sets up Act 3, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or
but
the end of Act 2 is...
It's weird how he gives him this box of old Howard Stark memories. It seems, though, that, like, Nick knows what kind of message that Tony's gonna get, and that it's gonna be perfect and solve all of his problems. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
Yeah.
How would Nick Fury be able to drive that?
Well, he did say Howard was one of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he knew him, so it's possible Nick Fury...
Yeah, and I imagine that, like, maybe Nick Fury watched that old real footage in which...
at the very end, he says,
has a conversation to Tony when he's an adult.
Yeah.
And so it's possible that Nick Fury saw that, but I can't imagine Nick Fury derived that he was hinting at that Tony would be able to see this
New element.
expo display from the 60s and derive from the pavilion locations around the stage, which is the nucleus, a new element. It's pretty and it's convenient, but
it's very stretchy.
It's stretchy. That's a good word for it.
Very stretchy.
Yeah.
Oh, and this amazing scene.
Oh.
The sales pitch from Justin Hammer
to the military about how they're gonna suit up the Iron Man, stolen Iron Man suit.
Soon to be War Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they're gonna include? Pulls out the pistols. 2 downtown.
Yeah. His sales pitch. He's got a whole lineup that he has the counter arguments already for, which is only like giving the person being pitched to more and more feeling that they're on a pedestal, that they don't even have to come up with a defense, that might be a possibility.
He's baiting the hell out of the person he's selling to.
Yeah. Oh man, is he a salesman? It
starts
is
with a pistol
with the white gloves.
Oh, I know. That's the best part. Is like the presentation part of it.
And it's not even just like normal white gloves. It's white gloves with like the 3 stitches on the back of the palm.
Butler's gloves.
Straight up Butler's gloves. Yeah.
Golfing gloves. I can't
Yeah, right.
And
then he introduces the ex-wife. Oh.
Yeah, that whole line. I sent you that YouTube video, but that guy breaks it down. Like the whole expectation in writing is like
subverting your expectations about
if it was any smarter.
El Cohiba, the denominator, it's
all
called
these great descriptors.
No.
He's like, if it were any smarter, it would write a book.
Then read it to you.
It would make Homer look like it was written in crayon.
Yeah.
It would read it to you. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Yeah, and then Rhodes, poker face. He even calls him out on his poker face. Come on, I can't even read you. You're like the Sphinx. Give me something.
Yeah. But then I took issue with the I'll take it. Take what? All of it. And then he walks off. What appointment you got to get to that you can't finish the conversation with the person that just gave that awesome presentation to?
It felt like we were being filmed. That was the coolest thing I could have done was to walk off awesomely.
Right.
No, you were right, sir. Colonel or...
I'll take all of it.
Whatever, Major? I forget his title.
Rhodes,
yeah. Captain?
I think he's Colonel.
Colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and Bill O'Reilly's in this.
Yeah, which Bill O'Reilly, he just gives kind of like the scathing negative person's review, which I am curious.
Of Pepper Potts. Of Stark Industries. Yeah.
Right. Which I'm curious as to how they approached Bill, other than here's $50,000, because I'd probably do it for $50,000.
That's probably all they did.
Yeah.
Or here's a little boy.
But basically,
or whatever
he's portraying Bill O'Reilly as a guy who would potentially falsely denote or downplay or talk down about Stark Industries, a reactionary, negative, inaccurate, and not with the people point of view. I'm just saying that's what his scene in the movie was showing that the public was given a negative representation of how Stark Industries is doing or what have you. But that means that Bill O'Reilly had to sign up or agree to say, yeah, I'll represent a person who was ill-informed and talking poorly about a hero. You know what I mean? Which, for a news reporter, that's not how you want to be represented.
Well...
It probably... I'm just saying, it's...
No, I completely... I mean, he's a piece of shit.
I'm just saying, he signed up for it. He took money to say, yeah, that's me. Yep. Which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to discredit myself, but look at this money I got.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just proving their points.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a realization.
It's a wacky world we live in.
Right?
But he's gone. He's fired and charged with...
Sexual harassment.
Pedophilia? It was sexual harassment?
Not pedophilia.
Not pedophilia?
It was harassing and misconduct and shit.
Girls?
Yeah. Okay. Not like underage necessarily, but just the female people around his work.
Got it. Okay. You know, that's how in tune I am with the news.
I always got to check on. I keep an eye on my predators.
Yeah, you got to make sure you check on that website that shows them all.
I got to say though, they show that they have the final Howard Stark here. This is the Howard Stark that appears in Endgame, or Infinity War and
the
Endgame.
Guy from Mad Men.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good face. I think that's a perfect face for Senior Stark, and also in the extra scene, you see that not only is he professional in his, he's trying to make this Stark Expo talk or whatever, but then when the camera keeps rolling, he says "my ass," and he has kind of like the
he's a
sophomoric,
a real person.
Yeah.
I just had a realization that he says, "You were and always will be my greatest creation."
Yeah.
At the end of Endgame, when Tony's getting validation from, spoilers, warping back in time and visiting his father, he says, he's not even born yet, and there's nothing I can't imagine I'd do for the kid. It's like,
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it was like super validation for Tony at the end. So Tony shows up to Pepper's office with strawberries, which was really funny. It's the only thing she's allergic to, and he's like, "This is progress."
The eternally moving sculpture, is that actually a thing? Does it eternally move?
It's like those, it's a desk thing. It's like, that there's a thing on Pepper's desk that's a perpetual motion, explanation of perpetual motion.
But that's a curiosity to me. I want to find one of those if those actually exist. Because
they used to sell those at when I used to go to DC every year, because my dad thought that was a vacation somehow. And in the gift shops at the Smithsonian, they would have these.
I bet you that eventually it'll settle.
No, it's perpetual motion. That's its whole point, is to display perpetual motion. Things that will stay in... Isn't that the law of perpetual motion? Things that stay in motion will always remain in motion until...
Yeah, but the thing is... we're breaking away from Iron Man 2, but the idea of perpetual motion on Earth is like a myth, because it's like a thing. It would be an infinite energy source if we can make a thing that would move forever. Because what stops motion is resistance, which in the case of the sculpture on the desk there would be the hinge that is rotating one of the poles, the other hinge that's rotating the poles, the air that the poles are rotating around. There's eventually resistance, which will make it stop. Eventually.
There's a few of them. There's like the orb one, the kinetic orb. Have you seen that? It usually goes on a desk. You spin it once, and it's weighted so that it'll pretty much never stop spinning. It'll always get to a certain apex, and then one weight will fall off kilter and bring it back down off of its apex and go around.
I'm going to counter your Google.
There's that one.
I don't deny that there's definitely systems in which it could maximize any amount of energy, and that could be represented in a slow cascade of descending energy until it ends, but eventually...
That's what I'm saying. It won't. Look up perpetual motion sculpture.
I'm Googling it.
Anyway, so Tony's trying to be a wise ass, talking about how he lost both the kids in the divorce when he sees Natasha, or Natalie Rushman, and Happy both working for Pepper, or at least executing her orders and not his own. I think he went there to explain to Pepper that he was in love with her and that he was sorry, but he never got the words out, and he was distracted when Natasha came in, which was pretty funny. And I made a note about him throwing out the strawberries. He didn't even fucking try.
Yeah.
He just throws the strawberries on the...
I want to say two of the strawberries maybe have got it, and then he didn't pick it up or nothing.
Dude, that dude doesn't give a shit.
General direction of trash can.
Yeah, he just throws it at it and leaves all of them on the floor. So Justin Hammer finds out, well, oh wow, we're skipping over a lot actually. So I'll just summarize. Huh? Because I didn't really actually write any notes about him. I mean, I thought it was kind of bullshit that the technology jump from Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2 was ridiculously high. Like, he's got this hologram that... So he scans the Stark Expo...
Yeah.
Whatever, model, and then finds the element in the structures, like you mentioned earlier, the nucleus being the
Yeah,
center
right.
and everything. And he flicks things away, and he's like
He's
throwing
got
things in
got a
goals
holographic interface like nothing.
Yeah,
it's
he's
like
got
it's
like
no
a-
big deal.
Yeah, so his room has to be covered in like projectors or something, but
Yeah,
seemed like a little unrealistic of a jump, but it's a comic book movie.
it's also Tony Stark
And it's
though,
Tony Stark,
and
so-
it's a Tony Stark post having a mission. I think I would say that he became a lot more introverted. He had the mission and became aware of what he could be doing with his talents rather than what he can make with what he can profit with his talents.
Yeah, similar to what he's doing in the scene we're seeing right now, where he built I'm guessing a Hadron Collider.
Yeah, it's a small. It looks like a small collider. That's the only reason I can imagine to have a large circumference circle throughout his facility would be a collider. They called it something like a prism collider. The prism was part of their description
that's
of
what
it.
he puts in the middle, and that's
Right.
what he's able to turn. So that's what he's a good example of what you're saying, and from the jump from Iron Man 1. A good justification for the technology is when he heads on a mission, he gets locked into, I am a
Super
genius
focused,
engineer,
yeah.
and I'm going to finish this. Well, he makes the gripe I have after this is right after he installs he hears of imminent danger.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
go
he
ahead.
learns about this element in the video with his father, and from learning the structure of the element to, I mean, I don't know how much time passed, but he creates this element, forges it in the shape of a triangle, and then knows that not only is it the element and the matter needing to be there, but he needs to introduce an immense amount of energy to it in order for it to, I don't know, set off a reaction. They did the same thing with Ivan Vanko when he created his first thing, and they showed him
dripping some
some
liquid. Yeah,
liquid.
they're just like mixing a bunch of weird science gobbledygook together.
Yeah, right. But it seems like it's a I don't want to say catalyst, but it's a chain reaction or something. Maybe a chain reaction where you put enough energy, like that's what a nuclear explosion is once enough energy is released to break up one atom, that atom releases enough energy to break up atoms surrounding it.
Oh yeah.
So and it becomes a chain reaction leading to this immense amount of. So this
That
seems
could be
to
what
be.
he's doing. Is
It must be. It
he's
must be
aiming
something
the
like it.
Yeah, because it seems like he's filling it with energy
And then it just
And it
progressively
and
has
it
energy.
glows. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just retains its energy, which is kind of cool. But I didn't get so Ivan Vanko finishes his shit, and they go to Hammer Industries, goes to the Stark Expo with the Hammer drones, and Tony, sensing imminent danger, says "fuck the tests" and plugs in the new core
Right.
in his
Classic
chest.
Tony.
And
You gotta
gets
fly before you crawl.
Yeah, and then gets a cocaine high.
Yeah, it
Right
smells.
after
Tastes like coconut.
it
Was
tastes
it
like coconut
a
and metal.
bit excessive?
Yeah.
We already got that he was like making that sniffing. Oh,
Yeah,
like
and he was,
that's
like,
just
powering
yeah.
up.
That's the. Everybody recognizes that as the cocaine exaggerated, like what's the Scarface
Oh yeah,
reaction to cocaine.
to power.
But then he had to say it tastes like coconut and metal. After that, which tastes like coconut, you could have just said metal and then left it said it tastes like metal.
He didn't say anything.
But
He didn't have to
coconut,
taste anything.
right? Yeah, no, absolutely, agreed. But saying it tastes like coconut and metal just says to me that you want to say beyond your sniff, craze, energy, excitement that it's like it's cocaine.
Yeah.
Real subtle.
Yeah. And isn't it just a power source? Like, what is it really doing for him that it makes him get
Agreed. Yeah, it should be
cocaine
just
high?
a
Just
power
more
source
power that's not,
available to his suit. It's
Yeah.
not going into his body.
and it shouldn't be reversing any effects.
If
It's
anything,
just stopping
it's
them.
maintaining the electromagnet that is removing the heart, the shrapnel from his heart.
Yeah.
Which that could make him energetic. Oh, I have less shrapnel in my heart. Yeah.
It's staying in place better. Like, what,
Yeah.
dude?
Right. It did seem weird, and it fades to white. I'm just saying, it's just a big cocaine allegory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we find out Justin Hammer really is a child when he comes in and takes
Take his shoes.
take his bird.
How does it make you feel?
Taking your stuff. How does it make you feel? Yeah. So he's obviously was beaten up as a kid, always falling short.
Right.
Let's get to the hemorrhoid attack.
Oh,
scene.
what a pun! What a pun!
I'll get to the actual action because that was I thought really well done. Like when they're in the wet grassy place.
The kill box.
The kill box. So the presentation was cool. Tony shows up, warns Rhodes. Rhodes gets hacked by hacker man Ivan Vanko, and he activates all the drones, which had Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. So they all start going after Tony.
They
Tony
start
with
shooting everybody.
Yeah, and with some slightly quick thinking, slightly caring not about collateral damage, flying really close to civilians and shit while you're being fired upon. You paused the...
What? I just
perfect.
wanted to point out this.
Perfect. I had a note about this, too. So, while this is happening, Natasha interrogates Hammer under some arm pressure stress.
Yeah.
Where Ivan is.
Who's behind this?
Yeah, finds out it's Ivan and he's held
He
at the
cracks
facility.
right away.
Immediately, because he's a little baby bitch. And Happy, through masculinity, decides to drive Natasha
Yeah.
to...
All right, fine. I'll drive.
Fine, I'll drive.
Hell no, I'll drive. Where are we going?
Yeah, he's so insecure. It's hilarious. His character, anyway. And he's driving her there, and she's got to change, so he's checking out them.
Which we at this
movies in the
point
back.
we
the mirror.
don't know why Natalie is changing. No, we do know at this point.
We know why. Happy
Right.
doesn't know, but
Right,
he's
right.
happy to look in the rearview mirror and nearly get them killed,
Yeah, right. He totally does.
which is pretty funny. So yeah, they end up running away. We see Spider-Man.
Right in the
Show
Iron
up.
Man helmet.
Yep, he's a little kid at the expo aiming his arm at a drone. Tony
Right.
shows up the last second.
Blast it away.
Blast him. Good shot, kid. And then we get to see Natasha kicking ass for the first
Yeah,
time.
she's charging after Ivan Vanko and trying to find him. And they bust into the room, and that's when Happy goes in. He's not going to he's too male. He's like, I'm not going to let you go in alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes in charging, punches the first security guard, starts a fight. That's great. The fight goes on as Black Widow goes in, takes out a dozen more guys.
Yeah, easily. With gadgets and strength and sheer force of will. And Happy, having complained about dirty boxing earlier in the movie, bites this dude's ear off and then slugs the shit out of him and says, I got him! Only to see a trail of bodies in the wake of Black Widow.
So great.
Yeah. Dirty boxing that was pretty funny.
This is the kill box. You go here to die.
And then the hammer drones show up, which was I thought a really cool sound effect. And then they cycle it in with the music, and then they had like an anime-esque cherry blossoms falling out of the sky, and they're all in like there's a stream and a babbling brook, but you know there's danger imminent. Very, very good cinematography. And then the whole fight scene was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like they were playing a video game. And
Yeah.
You blast three of them. Did you see that? And Rhodes is like, yeah, nice. And rolling dudes down. Like, when he fucking blasts that one dude in half with the minigun and there's oil blown all over him. I was like, that was the coolest shit ever.
Yeah, it's crazy that they had that part about the big gun. They're like, I'm the boy.
What, you are not the big gun. You have a big gun. You're not the big gun. Yeah, masculinity issues. Yeah.
And he's loaded up with hammer tech. That's great stuff. And then they land all around. Great soundtrack. And then Pepper calls the cops on Justin Hammer. You got a real problem. I'll give you a real problem.
And we never hear from him again.
Do we not?
Never. I think his name may be mentioned in the show.
Yeah.
In the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he's never mentioned ever in the MCU again.
Man, it's a shame. It's a shame. Well, he did his job. He did his job really good.
Yeah.
The bunker buster.
The ex-wife did nothing to Ivan Vanko. And Did they have him remove his helmet so much for the acting effect?
Right.
Because at the end, he's got his helmet off while he's got them between his two whips.
Yeah.
Shocking both Tony, and they both raise their hand like he's got to know that they're going to blast. Put your helmet up, Ivan.
No.
But pretty cool fight scene. His Teresa noticed his suit. If you look at the legs, it kind of resembles how he looked when he first attacked Tony.
Oh, yeah, I call this hodgepodge, but it's not.
No, it's definitely... It looks like a modified Hammer suit.
Oh, does it? You think so?
Yeah, I think so. There's no way he made all of that shit in a short amount of time. It was like he gave him a week.
He does. Yeah, it does look like it. Yeah, he has got those legs.
He's got the legs that clamp onto Rhodes' suit when he steps on him.
But
and he's got the cool whips. But yeah, look at his legs. Teresa said that they kind of look like the drooping, burned up shirt that had fallen off of him when he enters. I was like, that's kind of cool. I wonder if it was a design choice on the CGI department's part.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that he thought about how to design his bottom half.
So they blow all the glass off of that dome.
Tony loves blowing up all the glass.
Yeah.
Which they, when the drones started going off in the expo, that was like the first thing that happened was Tony Stark realized there's danger, and he rockets up into the sky, causing all the bots to fire at him.
Yep.
Shooting up out of the glass.
Raining glass upon the thousands of innocent onlookers.
But in thinking about it, I couldn't necessarily think of maybe a better move for Tony. Maybe like if he flew behind the Marines, like...
Behind the stage?
Behind the stage, right. Behind, like, so they would have to fire it through each other to get at him.
But in the moment, reaction timing, you're thinking, what do I have available? I can fly away, I'll fly away.
Right. And then so post-fight, Iron Man realizes that all of the drones are about to explode, and then he does the Rhodes is like, we got to get out of here, and then Tony does the Matrix.
Yes, you made the same connection I did. I have that same note.
Trying to save...
Pulls a Neo, saving Trinity.
Right, exactly. It's blurry, going way too fast.
They even zoom in on his face, looking super determined.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they finally kiss on the rooftop.
Right.
Which took him a whole movie to get there.
And which I obviously realized in Iron Man 1, as you explained to me, that she quits from being in charge of Tony Stark's company, which I didn't realize. I thought that he had just given that up. But that's interesting.
It makes sense because that later in like Avengers: Age of Ultron, he's got like the drones that show up like after disasters and stuff like that.
Right.
So he's still the head of Stark Industries. He builds the tower.
And now that he's no longer dying from palladium poisoning, he's not ready to give away all his possessions. He's saying, "I want to live again." Yeah. So okay.
A new lease on life.
Yeah. I like it.
So I like the whole ending scene. It was kind of like watching mom and dad bicker, and then they kiss.
And Rhodes sitting there is perfect.
He's like, you're out of one-liners? Yeah, that was my last one.
Yeah. I was on this roof first. Pick a roof.
Yeah, get a roof.
I thought you were done with one-liners. All right, that's my last one.
And he's like, so my car was destroyed, and so I'm going to need to borrow your suit for a while. He's like, yeah, that's not an option. He's like, yeah. Wasn't a question. And it just flies away. Yeah. I was as upset as I was. They got rid of Terrence Howard. I'm very happy with Don Cheadle as
agreed.
War Machine. He definitely grew on me. In this movie, he grew on me.
Yeah.
I didn't like seeing him at first, but they ripped the Band-Aid off, and by that point, I was like, well, I'm just developing with a new character now. So.
Yeah, this scene especially, I think, sealed him in.
Yeah, I was like, oh, good. He can quip with the best of them.
Right? Where do you think he goes? What do you think Rhodes' cave is? He's got an apartment on 42 and Wacker.
Bust through the roof.
Right.
So they acknowledge that. I like that he said textbook narcissism.
Yeah. Agreed. He stalls for a little bit, but then I can't argue that.
So S.H.I.E.L.D. approves of Iron Man, but not Tony Stark, and they convince Tony to be Tony negotiates being a consultant by having them present him with a medal. He's being honored.
Right.
And who does he pick?
Yeah.
He picks Gary Shandling. And I just love he sticks him with the metal. It's annoying what a little prick can be, isn't it?
Right. So it's like, it's not even, it is, he's embarrassed to have to do this, but they didn't fully, it's not like just a shame he gets slime on his face, his head, he's all embarrassed. And he gets to say his little one-liner onto Tony and poke him with a pin. You know what I mean? He still gets to be cool and sweet.
That was so good. Yeah, that was very sweet. And then we wrap up the movie with the teaser after credits scene of the Land of Enchantment.
Oh, the 2 times I watched this, I don't think I ever stayed to. Oh yeah, okay. I never
show Coulson driving out to
New Mexico, right?
Yeah,
because he was reassigned.
Yeah, he was reassigned to South, which was funny when he shows up because Tony he was supposed to stay on his premises, and he left to see Pepper and came back with the Stark Expo model. And when Coulson came, he was like, "Hey, I heard you broke premises." He's like, "Yeah, that was like 3 years ago. Where were you?" And Coulson's like, "Oh, I was doing some stuff." I was like, And then he tells him,
"Top secret, yeah,
he's like, I gotta go somewhere, top secret." "Yeah, that's fine." He's like, "Yeah, well, I'm glad you stuck around. We need you." He's like, "Yeah, more than you know." He's like, "Not that much."
yeah, Coulson's great.
Yeah, Coulson was definitely a good. I'm glad he got a TV show.
And then they hinted on the Thor's hammer.
Yep, they zoom in on Thor's hammer,
which. I've heard, people have said that they didn't like Thor 1. I thought Thor 1 was all right.
Yeah, Teresa's excited for it. She said that was one of her favorites, but I'm to be completely honest, not excited to watch any of the Thors except for Thor 3.
I have still yet to watch Thor 2. So
it'll be fun. It'll be fresh.
Yeah. Have you watched it?
Yeah, but I've only seen it twice.
Oh, all right.
And it was a long time ago because I just don't. I don't know. It's hard for me to get in on the Iron Man brought me into the whole tech cool thing, the sci-fi part,
the Norse god,
like, Thor. And
he's the hardest pill to.
But his arc over the whole series is definitely the coolest.
What?
I think his arc is definitely the best over all the characters. He has everything, and then he loses everything, and then he becomes worthy again and redeems himself. It's the best arc of the whole story. But that's a topic for another time. We're approaching our end here, so stick around if you liked this for the next one. We're reviewing Thor, which released in 2011 by director Kenneth Branagh. Branagh. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So, stick around.
Till next time.
Have a scientastic day.
I've been Dan Fictional.
Oh, and I was Dan Science. Thank you. That was good. That's good.